Have you ever felt like you're at the bottom of a deep, dark pit with no way out? Like the walls are closing in and every whisper of hope has been silenced? This is Sarah's story, and maybe, in some way, it's yours too. We first meet Sarah Mitchell, a 38-year-old single mother, in the quiet darkness of her apartment. The only light comes from a street lamp filtering through the blinds, illuminating a mountain of unpaid bills. An eviction notice sits on top, a stark white flag of surrender. In the next room, her 8-year-old daughter, Emma, sleeps peacefully, unaware of the storm raging in her mother's life. Sarah's gaze is fixed on an empty bottle of pills. Tears trace paths down her weary face as she whispers, "I have nothing left." No way out. How did she get here? 3 months earlier, her life had completely unraveled. Her husband left without a word. The company she'd worked for downsized, and her job was gone. Emma's asthma flared up, and the medical bills swallowed what little savings she had. Then, her car broke down, making the desperate search for work nearly impossible. Friends and family, unsure of what to say, slowly drifted away. Her prayers, once a source of comfort, had turned into angry, desperate questions hurled at a silent heaven. "God, where are you? Have you forgotten me?" Faintly, a memory from her childhood surfaces. A Sunday school class, a flannel graph board, and the story of Job, a righteous man who lost everything. She remembers her younger self asking, "But why did God let that happen?" The teacher's gentle reply echoes across the years. Sometimes God allows us to walk through fire, not to destroy us, but to refine us. Job never lost his faith, even at his lowest, but in the crushing reality of her present, those words feel like a hollow fairy tale. The next morning, desperation drives Sarah and Emma to a local soup kitchen. The shame is a physical weight, pressing down on her shoulders. She feels like a complete failure. She forces down a spoonful of soup. An elderly volunteer named Ruth approaches. Her eyes hold no judgment, only a deep, knowing kindness. "I've been where you are," Ruth says softly. "I lost my husband, my home, and my hope. But I learned something when we're at the bottom of the pit. The only direction left is up, and that's where we find God waiting." Ruth then shares the story of the widow of Zarephath. "This woman," she explains, "had just enough flour and oil for one last meal for herself and her son. She was preparing to die. But when the prophet Elijah asked her to make him a small loaf of bread first, she did it. She obeyed in faith. And God did a miracle. Her jar of flour and jug of oil never ran out for the entire famine." Ruth looks directly into Sarah's eyes. God doesn't ask us to have abundance before we trust Him. He asks us to trust Him in our scarcity. Sarah wants to believe. She truly does. But the doubt is a suffocating force. That night, back in her apartment, Sarah stumbles upon an old, dusty Bible her grandmother had given her years ago. She lets it fall open, her eyes landing on Psalm 40. "I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand." In that moment, something shifts deep within her soul. For the first time in months, she gets on her knees. This time, there are no demands, no angry questions, just surrender. "God," she cries, "I don't understand any of this, but I'm choosing to trust you. I can't do this alone. Guys, help me." The next morning, the first glimmers of light begin to pierce her darkness. A former colleague calls, offering a small freelance project she can do from home. Tucked in her mailbox is an anonymous envelope with $500 in cash. A local mechanic hears her story and offers to fix her car for only the cost of parts, telling her she can pay him back whenever she's able. None of these things solve all her problems, but they are enough, just enough for today. Sarah recognizes them for what they are: manna in the wilderness, God's provision. Ruth invites Sarah to her small church group, Atia, The pastor is teaching about Peter walking on water. Peter did the impossible, the pastor says, but only as long as his eyes were on Jesus. The second he looked at the storm raging around him, he began to sink. Faith isn't the absence of storms. It's keeping your eyes on Jesus through them. The words hit Sarah like a lightning bolt. She'd been so fixated on the wind and the waves of her circumstances that she'd forgotten to look up. Weeks turned into a month, then 2. Sarah diligently works her freelance jobs while sending out resumes. She and Emma start attending church regularly. The community wraps its arms around them, helping with childcare, groceries, and constant encouragement. One Sunday, the sermon is on the resurrection of Lazarus. The pastor's voice rings out, quoting Jesus. "Did I not tell you that if you believe, you will see the glory of God?" He continues, Lazarus was dead for 4 days. By all human standards, it was too late, but Jesus is never late. He's right on time for a miracle. Some of you feel like you're too far gone, but God specializes in resurrection. Sarah weeps, not from despair, but from a dawning hope. She feels like Lazarus, dead in her circumstances, hearing Jesus call her name. Then the call comes. Company she'd applied 2 months ago. Her application had been lost, but someone had just found it and was impressed. The interview is a blur of grace. Not only does she get the job, but it pays more than her old one, includes full medical insurance for Emma, is on a direct bus line, and they offer a signing bonus. Overwhelmed, she calls Ruth, sobbing with joy. Ruth's calm voice reminds her, "This isn't luck, Sarah. This is God being faithful. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever." 6 months later, Sarah stands before her church, Emma beaming in the front row. 6 months ago, she begins, her voice clear and strong. "I was ready to give up. I felt abandoned and hopeless, but God met me in my darkest hour. He taught me that faith isn't about God removing the storm, but about trusting Him to walk through it with you. Like the widow, I had to give God my last bit of hope and trust Him to multiply it. And He did. Like Peter, I had to take my eyes off the storm and fix them on Jesus. And, like Lazarus, I was dead in my despair, but Jesus called my name, and I came back to life." She looks out at the faces before her. If you are here today and you feel like you're at the end of yourself, that is exactly where God does His greatest work. He doesn't need your strength. He wants your surrender. It's the same God who parted the Red Sea, who raised the dead, who conquered death itself. That same God is with you right now, and He is more than enough. After the service, a young woman approaches Sarah, her eyes filled with tears. "I needed to hear that," she whispers. Sarah pulls her into a hug. "Then let me tell you what someone told me. When you read at the bottom of the pit, the only way out is up, and God is waiting there for you." Walking out into the sunshine, holding Emma's hand, Sarah remembers a verse. "Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning." Her morning had finally come. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more stories of hope and faith. Thank you for watching.